I'm Ann Wilsnack, and I've been living in Helena for a long time. And we're going to talk about my mobiles. I'm a mobile artist. I've been doing it for probably 12 years. I'm beginning to think that I'm becoming a master at it. They say if you've done something for 2,000 hours or 10,000 hours, I guess it is, you become a master. And maybe I'm not quite there, but I'm so excited about the work that I'm doing. Mobiles are moving sculptures, the way I see it. It's I love sculpture. When I spend money on art, it tends to be for sculpture. And mobiles are sculptures that actually show themselves to you. You don't have to walk around them. They turn in front of you. They're very peaceful to look at. And I do feng shui mobiles. And feng shui is an ancient art of intention. And so almost every mobile I make has intention for 9 feng shui principles, and I'll talk about that maybe when we see some of the mobiles. The beginning of my mobiles, I was going to do a sculpture. I had 2 circles, which we have in the backyard, and a young woman that I was spending time with, a teenager, said, "You know, I think you could turn that into a mobile." And so I did. And it's much more interesting being a mobile than 2 circles flat. They turn within themselves. And so I do it because I love it. I love making mobiles. And all my life when I have been on vacation, I do art. And it might be embroidery, it's been making hats, it'll be all sorts of different things that I've done over the years. And I still do. I was down in Arizona and I set up a studio space for myself, and some of the mobiles we'll be seeing I made from there. And I make the mobiles out of lots of different stuff. I love the diversity of it. I have metal mobiles, I have lots of I have gourd mobiles next door. I have cloth mobiles. I have, I'm using sometimes feathers and petals, dried petals, tiny little mobiles, and lots of beads. And someone this morning was saying, "Oh, I really like the way the natural pieces go with that man-made beads that have some more color and maybe a little more sparkle." So this mobile is 2 flying serpents, and it is made from fabric, but I covered some sticks with fabrics. And there's 2 of these serpents, and so this is in feng shui for relationship. So I have a lot of things in my house where I honor relationship, and I tell you, my relationship with my husband's getting better and better, and actually most of my relationships are better. Some of them are disappearing too, and that's okay as new wonderful people come into my life. So the number is 2. Usually the colors are pink and red for that feng shui, but I like these 2 serpents here. And in feng shui, there's actually something called gua, which is where in the house you put something, and this would be the relationship gua of this room. This gua is for helpful people and travel. And I'll tell you, I had a really big one of these outside in this gua. It's got 5 metallic things. Heavy gray is kind of the color. And I was traveling so much I had to take it down because I just was tired of traveling. So I find that the mobiles really make a difference in my life, partly because of the intention that they carry. So this is, again, my first mobile that Ellie told me, "Oh, you know, turn it into a mobile." And it's really, maybe my favorite mobile. I've had it for such a long time. I've had to restring it maybe twice, but it lives outside and it does really well. At one point, it had a spider that came into it. And this, again, is a relationship mobile. The colors aren't particularly that, but it's just made of 2 pieces of metal. And it supports relationship. And when I'm making the mobiles, I work from the bottom up. So I did this one on this lower thing, and then I tied it to that next one, and I tied that to that one, and then I get it balanced. So everything has to balance from the bottom up. And I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm going to make a mobile. It's almost impossible to make a mobile if you start from the top and then try to get everything to balance. But if you find the natural balance spot, they'll come together. So this one actually has 9 gourds in it, and it's and I was really thinking about health as the common denominator. And then this wonderful stick at the top is a cholla cactus that dried out, and I found it when we stopped on a dusty road, and I was walking around and I was so excited to find that piece. So, you know, again, I washed it. I kind of took off some of the things that so I could show the real skeleton of the cholla instead of what was dying on the outside of it. I liked these dried flower stalks that were in my garden, and I put 9 yellow petals in the middle, so that's for health. And then 4 wooden things are for family, so I put family in here. But it keeps changing. It's been level a couple times, but as this evaporates, it's getting lighter. So I'm having to like keep working on it, and I've decided to let it be for a little while till I really think it's all the way dry. I had left these things out for about 3 months, but they were just still not drying. So I want this to be. I like it when I like the level lines. I think in general that our eyes like level lines. This one is this beautiful piece of wood that I found down in Arizona, and then I added northern horse chestnuts, and just kind of a fun piece. It's very similar in terms of how I made it. A lot of my mobiles have a couple of things going on in terms of movement. These are just hanging from one very interesting piece of wood. And this one has actually a stem and some cut stems, and then some beautiful oak leaves. So this is family and relationship. And this yellow, there's not 9 of them, but I sort of think health in there when having the horizontal health. And you know, it's sort of like what comes up in my life. So I find a lot of things. These bean pods are not actually edible beans that I know of, but I just thought the bean pods were beautiful. And I played with some oak balls, and we stopped in the White Mountains of Arizona, and there was this one bush that had all these curly yellow, it wasn't a bush, it was curly yellow grasses. And so I picked several, and now they're home and sitting in some of my mobiles. This is an exciting new piece of my work, or this shows lots of different pieces. So they're little. I haven't usually worked quite this small. And this is very simple, just these little beads that are some sort of composite. I drilled, they had holes, but they were too small for me, so I drilled holes into them, and then I used the one acorn. And green is also a prosperous color. So this one, a friend of mine gave me a snake skin that she'd found, and it was in pieces, and I had a great deal of fun turning it into a mobile. And this mobile has sort of prosperity, lots of purple here for prosperity for the whole planet. And here again, this is prosperity. The number is 8. So we have 7 little fancy petals and then this one purple leaf. And then there's this green leaf that I thought was wonderful with it too. And then this mobile has, my clematis was losing leaves and they're losing petals, and they're beautiful. And so I collected them and dried them and added some more reds and purples to them. And again, this would be prosperity for the whole world. We've got 4 wood things for family. And these are kind of gray to me, so this was thinking about travel and helpful people. And then there's 2 pink leaves for relationship, and I put 2 little white beads on that. And actually this will stand up if I... I have spent some time in this chair just looking straight up, particularly at that one. And it's really fun that mobiles, a lot of people, I feel like, oh, I don't have room for more art, but I do have room on my ceilings in some places. So it is actually something that can help people's, add to your decorating desires. This is such a delicate group that I did. Ooh. And again, 3 times 3 is for health for me. That's the number 9. And we have different pieces of wood for family in this run. And sometimes it's just because my eye likes it. The way I figure out what to do is really, I almost feel it in my body. It's like, I get a sort of a sense of peace. And I go, yeah, I like that bead, or I like this little old earring being used in this piece. It made me feel good. So I love this little set of seed pods with pearls. And again, that is gray to me, so that's for helpful people in travel. And we've got these purple and reds for prosperity for the whole world. And the blues are for wisdom and knowledge, and the yellows are for health. And there's some couple stuff in here with 2 little red beads. 3 white, yellow is for creativity and children. And I had fun putting together some multiples of 3 in this one. And, usually I wouldn't put a crystal in, but hey, I had it, and I get a kick out of that mobile. It's really fun and delicate. And this one, I think this is so cute. They're like little fairies or little flowers, but they're dried petals, and I've never really used dried petals before this year. And then again, this one has purple for prosperity for the whole world. I would like it so much if everyone was safe and everyone was fed. And again, relationship, little pink beads here for that. So this one is lids, ceramic and glass lids. And of course, they look like saucers, and they're flying right now, and they're attached to something that I found in a river that had been pretty well softened by the river. I'm pretty sure it's the handle of a probably pretty high-end fly rod. So if you lost your fly rod 5 years ago, maybe this is it. And this one I'm really excited about because there's 2 mobiles. I mean, it's one mobile, but this piece orbits the other mobile. And it has Feng Shui for creativity, for family, for health, for prosperity for the whole world. And I get a kick out of it. I like the way the mobile looks with this guy coming in front of and behind it as it travels around. Has relationship pieces too. So before I make the mobile, I'm making each string of these, and they were pretty damp when I put them together. So again, I'm wanting to let them really dry out before I put them into a mobile. They just look like little fairies to me.